have Okoyemi Adamolekun, Executive Director in Office Enough, as well as Franklin Oloniju, co-convener Nigeria Civil Society Situation Group. Both of them are in Akure, the Ondo State capital, where the battle of the two deputy governors just ended. Well, in general, 17 gubernatorial candidates in that election, but it was a two-horse race, more or less. And now Aiyedatiwa has been declared the winner. The Labour Party, that will have been the third in the race, well, came up short again because the candidate was, put on the ballot. That's Shola Ibisheni, almost at the last minute, following INEC saying that they had to respect an appellate court ruling. But Franklin Oloniju, let's start with you. You were co-convener of the Situation Room in these Ondo State elections. What were the observations, preliminary observations so far of the Situation Room, and what were the major factors that you would say determined the elections?
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. It's been a pleasure to be on this program. I would say when you look at the preliminary report that Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room released, that was on Friday before the election, those were to ascertain some of the happenings before the election itself went out. During those process, we noticed a lot of issues prior to the conduct of the election itself. And that was in the areas of apathy that we felt was going to prevail. We didn't see much of the firebrand environment that goes with elections, especially in Ondo State. And so a lot of people were saying that the silence was that was prevailing was somehow telling. Was it the silence of the graveyard? Do we expect things to spiral out of control? Are there plans that we don't know of? But, by and large, we found that this may really be, people really not too worried about the whole process, maybe as a result of assurances that have been provided by the gladiators, especially during various engagements that they had with various groups, civil society groups, where pledges have been made on the need to ensure that peace prevail, and the candidates' commitment to abide by the results, and also by them to maintain peace either way it goes. We as a civil society, the society coalition on election, we did our own observation of the environment in terms of what we were looking at in terms of scanning the environment to determine hotspots where we think there could be issues, and also working with security agencies to point out these areas to them to be able to make informed decisions about how to nip most of those things in the bud. If you look at the candidates themselves, they are both from the riverine area. In fact, during the debate, they called themselves brothers, and so we felt that the tension would ordinarily have been within the riverine, which was the south, but because the candidates showed maturity, they were able to douse that tension. So when you look at what we rolled out, we were looking at voter education. We were looking at how well people have been sensitized about this election. I found that a lot were done to reach people across the state and ensure that they do not go out and cause violence during the election. And so the report shows that there was kind of peace that was pervading before the election, and we encourage them to, the people of the state to also maintain that peace. Now, those were the preliminary issues that we noticed. The police came in and they made assurances. There were deployment of about 33,000 police, as we were told. INEC also promised that material we are going to get to the polling unit, the super rack, the rack on time. They had a deployment plan, and a lot of times we also emphasized that they needed to stick by that so that what happened in Edo will not also happen in Ondo State. So the tension in Ondo State, as it were when, before the election, were kind of mid-level tension, and we didn't really have a cause to be over-alarmed. Because a lot of side talks within the community shows that nobody was ready to, waste their lives, and that's the power of sensitization. But if you look at what happened on the D-Day, it also shows that, there was cautious optimism about the election among the people. People did not come out earlier enough. Later, we saw some people came out, and if you look at the level of disruption. Yes.
Well, I mean, we've been told that voter turnout was low, despite the fact that, there was great enthusiasm in collecting voters' cards, and only about 200,000 plus voters' cards were not connected. But what do you think is responsible for this voter apathy? Both candidates, at the end of the day, Aiyedatiwa and Oloniju, they are from Ondo South, right? So Akeredolu before them came from Ondo North. So the expectation is that, well, it will go to any one of them in Ondo South. But what could have been responsible for voter apathy, despite the fact that INEC arrived at the polling centers, provided materials as early as 6 a.m.?
Well, for us, I think we felt that, if you look at even the CVR that was done, there was a high level of youth participation in that voter education. They came out, registered, and they had a high number of young people collecting their PVC. But unfortunately, we didn't see much of their participation during that election. When the youth refuse to participate, it reduces the number, of people that will definitely that can be counted. And so, that's this interest has been, noticed because of serious engagement where they blatantly refused to give assurances that they were going to participate in the process. And so, for us, it might be the disenchantment with governance. It might be a result of disinterest in the candidate themselves. It might also be, disappointment, maybe because of the whole process. And but that to me was a major law in the whole process. Also, this zoning arrangement, also played a part because now that it's just the South, a lot of people felt that it's the South that should come out first, and since most of the other contenders are from that region, we will see more of that because along the line when this shift to another zone, people will expect that that zone in itself should be more interested to come out and mass to vote for candidate within that zone. So for me, I think if you look at it by and large, this is also something that is reflective of the whole national situation, environment that we have. People are mostly not too comfortable with political election now because they felt that they've not really gained much from participating in that process. So it behoves on this leader to now, the person that has come in, now to prove them wrong and be able to do much to assuage people's disappointment. So that basically for me was one of the reasons. And lastly, because Ondo election will always, be associated with violence. And so a lot of people oftentimes, based on these things, the scenario that played out in the past, even the 1990, people continue to refer to the 1993 incident. And so in Ondo State, people are always, cautious to go out and vote. So we've had about 20-25% voters turnout in the last election. I'm sure this may be a bit above that. Maybe we can be saying about 25, 30, but I don't know. When the statistics are out, we will really know based on if we have 200,000 people really voting out of about 2 point something million. That's about 20%. So we've not seen major difference from what used to, and that's a problem. You know, if you have those number of people deciding the fate of the state in the next 4 years, you know, it's not encouraging at all. So for me, those are yeah.
Mr. Oloniju, just one more question for you before I go to our own Opeyemi Adamolekun, and it's about security. Over 22,000 security officers deployed. We saw a higher number even in Edo State. Now, are these elections becoming security operations, perhaps because INEC has not been able to, you know, reassure the people in terms of the integrity of his own processes? How, you know, how do you assess the security provision for that election? There was a DIG that was sent there. The police have said, well, there was vote buying in some places, but the spokesperson for the Police Service Commission tells us that they were able, you know, to be firm and to control the situation and protect the integrity. That mix of factors, security and the integrity of INEC.
When you look at the security situation during election and vice versa, how you want to place INEC, I really don't think INEC has the power within that ecosystem. You know, the security of election is decided at a different level. You know, even we have the committee in the state, ISS or something that, you know, is responsible or plans. The IG decides how, and the center and its own people decide how much, how many, you know, policemen will be deployed and who will be in charge. INEC, for me, can only, you know, advise. And so when you look at all those things, you find that sometimes INEC may not really have power over the security apparatus of the state. Now, when you look at polling area, INEC is said that the EO should, you know, or the PO, the presiding officer, who can you know, direct, you know, affairs at that level. But you find that how many of these corps can call those inspectors, those sergeants to do this, and they will gladly do it. You know, though we've seen some level of civility among them, you know, but you know, when you give authority, you are saying you are giving authority to those you know, presiding officers there. Sometimes they may not be able to, you know, to carry out those things the way it should be done, and you know, based on the attitude of politicians. Because when if INEC wants to do election, it would be good for INEC to just not to even have policemen man the you know, the polling unit. But are we saying that in Nigeria we are matured enough to do election without policemen? When people see that, especially thugs that may want to impress their principal, see that security is not available, yes, I'm sure they will take advantage of that. We'll get to that level where we can claim that, yes, we don't have policemen locking around or harming. But for me, I don't think this is the time, because even the utterances and the behavior of politicians is to cause mayhem during that election process. So we have seen utterances that, you know, keep us on our toes, you know. So I think for now we may still need to, you know, have that number of policemen. But I'm not sure if you look at the numbers, then we may want to audit. But you know, because at times you get to places where you do not find security operating in the numbers that it's claimed to have been provided. So those are some of the issues that I think, you know, may have. INEC does not have that power. And when you look at policemen during the attitude during the election and vote buying, the policemen are supposed to act, even without even the presiding officers calling them, because it's a criminal, it's against the electoral law. And experience in Edo, where I also observed, shows that technology were used by the EFCC, and people were picked at those polling units without even harassing anybody, because they have been captured by the drone, and they just picked them away and took them away from that. So INEC, the police should act on their own based on the fact that infringement has been committed, And if they don't do that, the impunity by which politicians display wealth, display resources at those polling units will continue. It was obvious in Edo. It was glaring here, and we don't know. Anambra may be another. So for us as civil society, even civil society situation, we shouted that this is a malady that may consume us. Obviously, it's spiraling out of control, and it seems as we don't even know what to do and how to contain vote buying. Anybody that wants to contest has always known that they will spend money, and even to do campaign, to do a lot of things, they don't do it just because they wait for the D-Day to be able to buy and vote. INEC has said it severally that they do not buy or sell votes. It's still the politicians. So the essence is to be able to ensure that the security operative, when they get these people at, the polling, they are prosecuted, and they are shown to have been prosecuted. Until we do that, it may be difficult to curtail vote buying, because even voters that we interacted with here already know that they were going to sell their votes.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Franklin Oloniju, co-convener of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room in the Ondo State election, gubernatorial election 2024. Thank you for joining us.